On 5th of July this year, around 4 a.m. in the morning, I lost my dog that I had for 12 years. He was more like a child to me. And I couldn't believe that Burger wasn't going to be around anymore. I was heartbroken, I was shattered. I didn't know what to do, how to believe it. It was just unbelievable for me. But we did not tell Papa about it because on 6th of July was Papa's birthday. And after so many years, I really cannot recall after how long we all were about to celebrate Abba's birthday with our close relatives and just a family get-together. Abba was really excited, and just like me, he also loved cakes. So we got a customized cake made for him, and I'll put a picture somewhere here for you to see. Even with a heavy heart, I just decided to divert my mind and got busy with the preparations for his birthday. We got him a very cool floral shirt and denim shorts, and we decided to have a theme party, and we all decided to make it a very tropical and beachy and just a fun summery get together. But guess what? Destiny had its own plans. So the very next day, that was 6th and Papa's birthday, he wasn't feeling well. He got hospitalized on his birthday. For some reason, I believed that Burger's sudden demise was related to my Papa's health, because Burger was fine and healthy and he was doing great, and suddenly he just went away. For me, for what I believe is that he took Abba's illness on himself. Even though things were getting serious and critical, all of us believed and prayed that Abba will come back and we will then celebrate his birthday and cut his cake and then have a family get together. We were all just praying and being positive and believing that he would be just fine, because he has been a warrior all his life. With each passing day, his condition was getting critical. He was in the ICU, and later he was on ventilator. My sister and I never even looked at the cake. It was kept in the fridge for 10 days. Cut to 14th July. We lost Abba. Multiple organ failure. In 2 weeks, I had to bear with such huge losses. It felt like a nightmare. I was numb. It felt like it was a bad dream and I will get up. But I did not. I was still living in denial because I wasn't ready to accept that I lost my father. I just thought he was posted somewhere and he would come home for the weekends and I will hug him again. My father's elder brother, my Bade Papa, was the one who performed all the duties of the father during Appi's nikah because Papa was not feeling well. Cut to 24th August. We lost Bade Papa. Multiple organ failure. Sounds so dramatic, but it really happened. We were devastated. It also reminds me of a true story of their childhood, which I got to know very late, very recently. Whenever the two of them went outside to play or do anything, Abba would not enter the house till the time he wasn't the one reaching first. So on the days when Bade Papa reached first, Dadi literally had to send him out of the house so that Papa could come in first, followed by Bade Papa. But nobody ever imagined that both the brothers will continue this ritual till the end. That's when I realized that no matter how much you plan, hope, wish, life can change in a second. Life can change like never before. This soul-ripping experience taught me not to hold on to plans and expectations too much. I was extremely close to my father, and he literally treated me like a baby. And all of a sudden, he wasn't around anymore. When this sudden reality hit me out of nowhere, something I never imagined, or rather, something I always feared, something that was my worst nightmare, everything else that was bothering me before that, all the petty issues that I was cribbing about in life, I couldn't relate to them anymore. Those minor things, those knickknacks, they didn't bother me anymore. I don't know how this works, but it was genuinely very bizarre to cry over such petty issues one day and suddenly your whole perspective and mindset changes. But you gotta deal with it. Before all of this happened, I had different plans. I thought that my life was sorted. I thought that even after making, I wouldn't say blunders, because I did jump to different streams academically throughout my life, but every stream and every degree, every phase taught me and made me the person I am. But finally in 2019, I started believing that now my life is gonna be the way I want it to be. It's all planned, it's all sorted. Since I was a kid, I used to say that I wanted to be an IAS officer. But after Abba's demise, I realized it was mainly because of what I had been hearing since childhood. Like, officer ki beti officer. I never thought that through, that was that something that would make me happy? After completing my graduation, I tried studying for UPSC. But somewhere in the back of my head, I knew that I wasn't happy doing it. So I dropped the plan. I took admission in my law school and started pursuing LLB. And then later, I started inclining towards judiciary. I started studying for it. But still, there was something that wasn't making me happy, that it wasn't something that was making my heart full and content. It was then when I realized that maybe I never wanted this. Maybe I was just doing it because of the pressure of the society and something that comes very natural when you belong to a family that is into the services. Maybe it was all just in my head. Maybe I was living in a la la land. Maybe I just thought to myself that I wanted to be just like my father. That I wanted to follow his footsteps, follow his path, and make him proud. Be like him. Maybe I just wanted to show everybody that I could do it too. That I'm my father's daughter, so I can become like him. But was that right? I don't think so. I realized that no matter how hard you try, no matter how much effort you put in, you cannot make everyone happy. And coping up with such a huge loss, I realized that I should rather do what I really want to do, something that makes me happy. I then wanted to make my father proud, but in a different way. And that was completely okay. You know, people still tell me that you've been such a bright student, you've got good grades, you've studied from good colleges. So why don't you just go into the services? And I want to tell this to every person who's watching this video, that no matter how smart, book smart, street smart, brainy, intelligent, or a topper or a scholar you are, doesn't mean that you have to choose a career based on that. You could be anything you want, but you should be happy about it. And you know in your heart, deep down in your heart, what really makes you happy. I want to make my father proud, and I hope and I pray, inshallah, someday I make him proud, but in my own way. And honestly, throughout my life, my father supported all my decisions. So why was I actually thinking about everybody else who had nothing to do with it? I learned it the hard way. I used to say that adulting sucks. I still say that, and I will. And I will continue saying that. But I felt the real meaning of it in July 2020. And before that, before July 2020, everything else is a blur in my memory. No matter how hard you try, you're gonna lose your loved ones. It is a part of life, and as much as we all want to not think about it, we cannot deny death. It's just that it happened to me way too earlier than I thought. The feeling was like somebody slapped me across my face, right, left, and center. And in a month, I saw a completely different version of myself. You know, people who know me, who really know me, they know that I've always felt what you call kick by bringing a change, by bringing a positive change in somebody's life, by helping somebody emotionally, by sharing my own experiences or something that I know. It makes me the happiest, and I wish to continue doing it throughout my whole life, because there is no greater feeling for me than helping a person emotionally and sharing my bit and taking them out of a negative zone. It's such a beautiful feeling. I had always been a very overly optimistic person in life, but this situation wasn't something to be optimistic about. I had all the reasons to blame my fate and destiny and feel like, why did it happen? I still have so many unanswered questions. But when I felt this emotion, this feeling, it also made me realize that I am way more stronger than I thought I was. Because if not 3 times a day, just once, I was barely eating, but I was eating. I was eating to survive, to sustain. So I was here for a purpose. I didn't die because I still have things to do in life. Until the time I don't serve my purpose here, I gotta deal with life and the way it comes. You know, it's really sad, but also the truth that during the hard times, during the shittiest phases of your life, you will come to know that who's gonna stick around, who's gonna be there, and who's not gonna be there. And I know that that is when you expect it the least. But it's only when things go south in your life and everything is falling apart, you realize who's gonna be there and who's not meant to be in your life, which will eventually help you to filter out people and relationships. So I asked Abba in 2016 to send me his name written in his own handwriting, and I didn't tell him that I was going to get a tattoo of his name in his own handwriting. I was thrilled. It was my first tattoo and I wanted it to be so special. The same year, Abba had Parkinson's disorder. His right hand started trembling and shaking and he couldn't write properly. And now when I think about it, I feel that I was so grateful to have this written in his original beautiful handwriting, which wouldn't have been possible later. I was extremely close to my father and he literally treated me like a baby. And all of a sudden, he wasn't around. And so it dawned upon me that when I'm able to survive without my father, even though I hate it, even though I miss him every second, when I'm able to live without him, so I can also live without all the other things and people that were bothering me before that. Yes, I do think to myself that life was unfair to me because I'm just 26 years old. Technically, I am an adult, but emotionally, I am not. But when I think about the people and my friends who lost their parent or parents at a very young age, God damn it, I can't even imagine what they went through and how they managed to sustain at such a young age. Hats off. I did not know what to do. Some days I pushed myself, but more often than not, I was just shut down. And I'm not ashamed or embarrassed about this feeling, because what I believe is, in order to move forward in life, you will have to feel your feelings. You cannot skip chapters, you cannot skip emotions. You will have to embrace all the pain and then go ahead. I'm not gonna lie to you. There were days when I feel that I was cursed. I felt shattered and heartbroken, and all of those feelings were very natural. But then I contemplated and thought about the pain my father was in. The pain that only he knew. His whole life was dedicated to his family, his wife, his children. He did everything that was possible for him to do for his loved ones. He did so much for everyone that I had to tell myself that if for once he has decided to do something for himself, I should respect that. I am extremely fortunate and grateful for everything Abba did for us. Another thing that I'm very grateful about is that I was able to spend one whole year with Abba. And I kid you not, people who are close to me, they know me because they've seen it, that just after I graduated, just after I completed my law school, something just told me to move back to Bareilly, to come back home. I didn't have any reason for it. It was just my gut feeling. It was just what my heart was telling me. My heart was telling me to go back home. My family wasn't really happy about the decision I was taking. They thought that I was being stupid, and honestly, anybody would think that way. For studying so much and for getting 2 degrees, after getting 2 degrees, I wanted to take a break and just come back home. My sister was also getting married in November 2019. And Abba was not in the best of his health. And I knew mom needed help, but she would never ever ask me for it. So I just followed my heart and I came back. And now when I connect the dots, I feel like, no, I am not cursed. I think about those children and those people who don't even get to spend the last days of their loved ones. And so I cannot crib about it. It would be very ungrateful of me. I realized that I was God's child. I realized that Allah Pak gave me the opportunity to spend one whole year with Abba. When you hit the rock bottom, you should remember that you can also rise from the ashes like a phoenix. This extremely difficult time when I felt lonely and I would just cry to myself, when I didn't feel like talking to anybody, it was also empowering me in a very strange way. It was setting me free. I don't know how to explain it, but I also felt very powerful. There isn't a moment when I'm not thinking about him, and it will happen throughout my life. It will happen every day, and I know that there will be events when it will hit me more than usual. For instance, when I'll start earning, when I'll get married and Abba wouldn't be around to dance with me, when I'll have my baby, and so many other phases of life. And I will miss him. So I was talking about how you will come to know who's gonna stay and who's not. And people really helped me. I am never gonna deny the fact. Something I never wanted after this humongous loss was to gain sympathy. I didn't want to be a poor thing. And I didn't want to feel that way because my parents did not leave any stone unturned to make me a strong person. And I feel fortunate enough that people around me were so kind and empathetic towards me. For the people who haven't felt this feeling, it would be very unfair for me to expect them to feel what I feel. But even then, there were people who were just there. People approached me in any way they could. Everybody had their own ways of comforting me, helping me, and holding me strong. Some were constantly messaging and calling me even when I wasn't answering any of their calls or messages. But they just wanted to let me know that they were there, and I knew that they were there. Some people gave me space that I needed. Some people came to visit me even during this pandemic situation, and I'm extremely grateful for that as well. There was a point when some of my friends asked me to just break this chain and start to push myself and talk to them, or talk to anybody for that matter. They thought that I was escaping, but I just feel completely opposite of that. What I feel is that it was an easier option for me to be in touch with everybody out there to divert my mind. But that wasn't right, because you gotta feel all your feelings and then move forward. If you're gonna bottle up your emotions, in the long run, it is not going to help you, and someday or the other, it's gonna burst out, and how. That is why I took all the time of this world that I needed, and I still take time. And I will take time till the time I don't feel that I'm ready. Honestly, I would never be ready. But I spent this time with myself and with my family. I cried my eyes out. I could barely eat, I could barely sleep. But I knew that this was the only way of moving forward. Abba will always be alive in our memories. Memories so fresh, like yesterday. I believe that there are ways in which we can keep his memories alive in our hearts. By doing what he loved, by imbibing his principles of life in my own personal life, by thinking about all the good times, the good old days, the golden days, and the beautiful memories that we created. I want to celebrate his life and not run away from the reality. He might not be physically around me, but I know that he will always be there to guide me, to protect me, to bless me, and be in my heart forever. He will be everywhere I go, and I know he's in a better, happier, healthier place. You never stop loving people you love. You just get better at living with their memories. There is no such thing as moving on. I don't believe in that concept. I have lost so many relationships, and I'm not talking in a physical way, but emotionally I've lost so many people. But I still wish the best for them. I still wish that they do the best in life. You know what was even more worse than letting him go was to see him getting older and weaker and dependent on people. It is the most horrendous feeling in this world to see your parents grow old. They are the people you look up to. Papa called me Laddu and I called him Bada Laddu. My friends call me Panda because I look and behave like one. So I called him a full-grown panda. And from that full-grown panda, to see him each and every day getting weaker and dependent on other people for his basic necessities was such a helpless feeling, because I was right there with him, but I couldn't do anything. I could only help him to the point that was in my hands, but I could not give him his health back. And that's when you realize that all the materialistic things, the money, the property, and all the lavish life, it's just it is just gonna be, it's not gonna be of any use, because a person comes alone and he leaves alone, and he leaves all these things behind. Abba's aura and personality was so powerful, so dynamic, so mesmerizing. His charm, his personality, he was a real dabang. And to see my Superman, my superhero, my Santa Claus, my real life Santa Claus, being dependent on people was heartbreaking. He was just sustaining and surviving because of his loved ones. He was extending his life. He was bearing and coping up with the pain, smiling through life for his loved ones, for his family. You know, when I think to myself, honestly, in the situation that I saw him during his last days, was that the kind of life, the kind of way I wanted him to be any more further? I don't think so. It would have been unfair. It is unfair. I know it would have been so much better to have him around physically, but not at the cost of the pain he was going through. Isn't that what love is all about? For the love of parents, it should always be them before you, because they are the purest form of unconditional love. Never ever in 26 years I imagined that I will be standing in front of my father's body. That day I knew I was seeing him for the last time. The memory is still so clear in my head, it still gives me chills. I remember when I went to visit him in the ICU, he had that oxygen mask and his eyes were shut, but he wasn't sleeping. So I went inside and I was standing near his feet. I touched his feet and I said, "Abbaji." He opened his eyes, and that person in so much pain smiled. He smiled looking at me. He was staring at me and he was smiling. I said, "I love you, Papa." To which he said, very softly, I could read his lips, "Love you." And those were the last words I exchanged with him. At that time, I didn't know that this was the last time I was seeing him awake. So when I uploaded a picture with him on my Instagram, I got a lot of messages from all the people who didn't know about it. But I would want to highlight two of them here. One, from my junior from school, who also lost her father this year itself, on her birthday. And second was from a senior from Delhi University. She also lost her father this year, and I could relate to her because she is also the younger one and her elder sister is also married, just like mine. This year has been horrible for the whole world, in different ways, of course. People have gone through losses in ways that are unimaginable, and here I am not belittling my pain or anybody else's. It has been a very traumatizing year globally. For what I know is that this chapter of your life will really change you as a person. That hopelessness, the grief, the void, the vacuum will never be filled again in the same way. And it doesn't have to, but it will really make you reach where you are meant to be. Sadly, when it happens to you, when it's your personal loss, it's when you realize that what you're feeling is not just momentary. So don't listen to anybody who's asking you to move on. I know that life goes on and that everybody has their own timeline, but it's not like you have to let those people go. It almost felt like death to me when I lost my father. it was like the end of the world for me. I had no will to live. A person who goes through an experience like this would laugh again, would smile again. They'll meet their friends again. They'll start a new chapter of their life. They'll get married, they'll have kids, they'll grow old. They will start doing the things they did prior to the incident. They would start living again. But do we really have to move on? No. Because I know that even if I'm smiling today, maybe tomorrow, maybe 2 days later, or maybe weeks later, it's gonna hit me again and I'm gonna feel hopeless once again. I know I will cry and miss him, and I will relive the trauma, and it is something that is not controllable. So to every single person out there, I am sorry if you've suffered a loss, if you have lost a loved one. It is totally okay to cry when you want, to miss them, to laugh thinking about a good memory with them 1 second and crying the other second missing them. It is totally okay, because it is such a beautiful chapter of your life that you don't have to close. You can take it with you and move forward in life, because for what I believe, a soul is never born and a soul never dies.